Ford. You think you know this brand? Model T, Mustang, the assembly line. But what if I told you that pretty much everything you think you know is just the tip of the iceberg? Did you know that Henry Ford's most famous line about any color so long as it's black wasn't about him being picky? It was all about speed. Or that Ford accidentally helped create its biggest rival, Jeep? Or that one car kicked off a personal vendetta with Enzo Ferrari and changed racing forever? Today, we're diving into 22 little-known facts about Ford. And trust me, fact number 19 cost the company $4 billion. This is one story you don't want to miss. Fact 1. The two-pedal Model T. Forget everything you know about driving. The Model T didn't have the clutch brake gas pedal setup. Well, it had 3 pedals, but they did totally different things. The left pedal handled the 2 forward gears. The middle one was for reverse. The right one was the brake. And the gas? That was a lever on the steering column. Driving this thing was more like playing an organ than driving a car. Fact 2. The secret of the black paint. You've all heard the line, a customer can have a car painted any color he wants, so long as it is black. Sounds like Ford was a style dictator, right? But really, it was all about efficiency. Back at the dawn of mass production, the only paint that dried fast enough was Japan black lacquer. Any other color would have created a massive bottleneck on the line. Ford chose speed over style. Fact 3. The omnivorous Model T. The Model T's engine was incredibly rugged. It was designed for farmers way out in the sticks. It didn't just run on gasoline. Kerosene worked just fine. And, get this, it ran perfectly on pure ethanol. Yep, alcohol, which a farmer could make himself. This wasn't just a car. It was a universal survival tool. Fact 4. The Mustang is named after an airplane. What do you picture when you hear Mustang? A wild horse. Well, no, not at first, anyway. The lead designer, John Najjar, was a huge aviation buff. He named the prototype after the legendary World War II fighter, the P-51 Mustang. The name just stuck. And then the marketers brought in the horse for the ads. Fact 5. The secretary's car. The Mustang wasn't born a sports car. Its job was to sell, and sell millions. To keep costs down, they built it on the chassis of the humble, cheap Ford Falcon. It used the same engine, same suspension, same brakes. It was a Falcon in a sexy dress. Early ads even pushed it as the perfect second car for the wife or a secretary's car. The whole sports car legend came later. Fact 6. The right side of the logo. And by the way, about that logo, ever notice the horses running left? That's on purpose. On American racetracks, horses run to the right, clockwise. The Mustang logo shows a horse running to the Wild West, symbolizing freedom and a rebellious spirit, not racetrack discipline. Fact 7. The first mass-market V8. Before 1932, if you wanted a V8, you needed a Cadillac, Lincoln, or some other ultra-luxury car. A V8 was a symbol of wealth. Henry Ford changed all that. He bet the farm on creating the world's first affordable V8 for the masses, the legendary Flathead. Suddenly, any guy could buy power, and that's what sparked the entire hot rod culture. Fact 8. Bonnie and Clyde's favorite. But that affordable V8 power had a dark side. It became the getaway car of choice for bank robbers. It was just plain faster than any cop car at the time. The most famous fan? Clyde Barrow. He actually wrote a letter to Henry Ford, thanking him for the dandy car. "For the business I'm in," he wrote, "I prefer your V8. That's got to be the best and worst testimonial of all time." Fact 9. The invention of the retractable hardtop. The 1996 Mercedes SLK? No. A 1930s Peugeot? Too niche. The world's first mass-produced car with a retractable hardtop was the 1957 Ford Fairlane Skyliner. This was space-age tech for the 50s. The trunk opened backward, The roof folded up and disappeared inside. This ballet of mechanisms used 7 electric motors, 13 relays, and over 600 feet of wire. It's a forgotten engineering marvel. Fact 10. Seat belts as an option. Ford was a pioneer in safety. Back in 1955, they introduced the lifeguard package. It included seat belts. They offered them as an option. But here's the crazy part. Customers didn't want them. Sales of cars with safety options tanked. People thought seat belts were for cowards, or that they'd jinx you into a crash. Ford lost money, and the whole idea of safety died for another decade. Fact 11. The coded lock on the door. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you remember this. 5 little buttons on the door handle. That was Ford's unique security code system. Back before key fobs, this was the only way to get into your car if you locked your keys inside. Simple, reliable, and honestly, kind of genius. Fact 12. Enzo Ferrari's revenge. This is the centerpiece of our story. In the early 60s, Ford wanted to buy Ferrari. The deal was this close. Ford had already spent millions on auditing. But at the last second, Enzo Ferrari pulled out in the most humiliating way possible. Legend says he insulted Henry Ford II personally. Ford was furious. He got his engineers together and gave one simple order. Go beat them at Le Mans. I don't care what it costs. This wasn't a race. It was a war. After 2 years of humiliating failures. In 1966, Ford didn't just win. He destroyed Ferrari, taking first, second, and third place. That grudge match cost millions. But it created the GT40 legend and changed racing forever. Fact 13. What does GT40 mean? By the way, why GT40? A lot of people think it's the engine size. No, it's way simpler. It's the height. The Le Mans rules required a minimum height, and Ford's engineers built the car to be exactly 40 inches tall. Simple as that. Fact 14. The forbidden Group B monster. In the 80s, you had the most dangerous racing series in history, Group B Rally, and Ford had its own monster for it, the RS200. It was an all-wheel drive, mid-engine beast, built from scratch just to win. It was so fast, so powerful, and so dangerous that, like all of Group B, it was quickly banned after a series of tragic accidents. Today, the RS200 is a holy grail for collectors. Fact 15. The champion F1 engine. Ford's dominance wasn't just at Le Mans and in rally. It owned Formula One. Even though Ford didn't have its own team, it bankrolled the engine that changed everything. The Cosworth DFE. For 15 years, if you wanted to win a Grand Prix, you basically had to use the Ford Cosworth engine. It won 155 races and 12 world championships. It is the winningest engine in F1 history. Fact 16. The $4 billion failure. Alright, now for the failures. And this is the mother of all failures. In 1957, Ford launched a brand new brand, Edsel. The company spent years on market research and a giant ad campaign. But the car bombed, catastrophically. The design was weird. Critics said the grille looked like it was sucking a lemon. The build quality was awful. In 3 years, Ford lost the equivalent of $4 billion in today's money. The brand, Edsel, literally became a synonym for marketing disaster. Fact 17. The scandalous Pinto. And here it is, the one that cost the company its reputation and people's lives. The Ford Pinto. This cheap, popular 70s car had a terrifying flaw. Its gas tank was located behind the rear axle. Get rear-ended, even at low speed, and the tank would rupture, and the car would burst into flames. The worst part? Ford knew. The infamous Pinto memo surfaced, an internal document where the company cynically calculated that paying off lawsuits for the dead would be cheaper than fixing each car. Fact 18. The origin of Jeep. Where'd the word Jeep come from? It's still up for debate. Ford's version was called the GPW, G for General and P for Purpose. Many historians figure that soldiers just slurred GP into Jeep. So, while Willis is the dad, Ford might have given the legend its name. Fact 19. Two different escorts. If you say Ford Escort to a European, they'd picture this, a rally legend, the RS Cosworth, a 90s icon. But if you say that to an American, they picture this. For decades, Ford sold two completely different, totally unrelated cars under the same name. One became a legend, the other just drove people to work. Fact 20. The Ranger is a Mazda. And that wasn't the only twin. For decades, Ford and Mazda were joined at the hip. If you bought a Ford Ranger in the 90s, you were basically buying a Mazda B Series, and vice versa. It's called badge engineering. Take one car, change the logo, and sell it as your own. Fact 21. The invention of the Ute. Know where the Ute came from? Yep, that was Ford. In 1932, Ford Australia got a letter from a farmer's wife. She asked for a vehicle decent enough to go to church on Sunday and strong enough to take pigs to market on Monday. Ford designer Lou Band basically attached a cargo bed to a coupe, and just like that, the Ute was born. Fact 22. The real wooden cars. Those classic American woody wagons. That's not wood grain vinyl. That was real structural wood. Why? Because after the Model T, steel bodies were still expensive, and Henry Ford just so happened to own massive forests in Michigan. He needed a way to use all that wood, so he just used it to build car bodies. It was cheaper and more practical. The wood style became iconic purely by accident. 22 facts. From an engine that ran on moonshine to a grudge match that cost millions. The story of Ford is the story of an entire era. It's proof that behind every car, there are ambitions, failures, genius moves, and sometimes scandals. Which fact surprised you the most? Or did we miss your favorite Ford story? Let us know down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel.